Since the beginning of the year, I have been feeling that I'm underperforming and berating myself for it. But as it turns out, for no good reason. When I reflect on what I'd actually done, I found that I'd underestimated my output and that my focus had been a little bit skewed. I'd been measuring my output and not the substance of my productivity. But I get it. The unsustainable pressure that black women feel they need to excel and prove themselves. And it's unhealthy. So if that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. This week I'm sharing some personal insights, some tips and practical strategies to help you break free from that cycle. You're listening to This Woman Can. I'm your host, Janice Sutherland, where I help mature professional black women take charge of their careers and lives to create a future on their terms. Hello, and welcome back to another edition of This Woman Can. Now, as I shared in the intro to this week's episode, I have really been struggling to get motivated for 2024. I know it's a new year, but I have really been struggling. And I was putting in the hours, but I just wasn't enthusiastic. And I really thought that I was underperforming. I thought my productivity wasn't there. So I thought I can't go into a new month feeling like this. So let me have a little look inwards to find some answers for why I was feeling the way I was. Obviously, coach thyself. But when I looked at what I'd actually achieved for the month, I'd actually done far more than I was giving myself credit for. I delivered my virtual retreat, I'd released and conducted interviews for my podcast, I'd made my first TV appearance, I designed a new life and career coaching program for mature black women, I launched my online store, I secured a new client, and I almost completed my website revamp. How much more, just listening to that and just reciting that tells me that I was actually very, very productive. And how much did I actually expect to achieve? I realised, like many of my clients, I'd gotten caught up in the pressure to perform. And as black women, the need to constantly prove ourselves is really inherent. There's the constant strive for perfection, the fear of falling short, the never-ending quest for validation. And all that is driven by a mix of historical inequalities, stereotypes that portray us as superhuman, getting the cape on, and the unique challenges of being at the intersection of race, gender, and right now for me, age. Trust me, because the struggle can be real. Add in the cultural expectations, the adage of working twice as hard to be seen and heard. You have got a cocktail for pressure that is quite frankly exhausting. But here's the thing. I learned a thing or two about overcoming the need to perform, and I want to share those insights with you, and maybe that will help you if you find yourself in a cycle of quantity over quality, overcome those challenges. The first thing I want to say is ditch the perfectionist trap. Growing up, I was always taught to aim high and never settle for anything less than the best. Great. But while striving for excellence can be a good thing, it can also become a trap. There's the pressure to meet impossible standards, to always have it together, to never show weakness. It can all take a toll on our emotional and mental well-being. And it took me a while to realise that, to be honest, perfection is overrated. That it's okay to make mistakes, to stumble, to fall, to be less than perfect. In fact, embracing imperfection is actually quite liberating. It's about letting go of the need to please others and embracing who you are, flaws and all. You'll hear me talk about redefining the measure of success, and this has been a huge thing for me. For the longest time, and I think I've spoken about it in a previous episode, I equated success with hard work and the external achievements, the job titles, salary raises, accolades, all the extrinsic rewards. But over the years, I've come to realise that true success is about so much more than that. It's about living a life that's really who you are. It's true to yourself. One that's aligned with your values, your priorities and your passions. It's about finding joy and fulfillment in the little things rather than constantly chasing the next big milestone. Practice self-compassion. One of the most important lessons I've learned is the importance of self-compassion. I am my own harshest critic, like many of us are. But I've learned to treat myself with kindness and understanding, to give myself permission to rest, to recharge, as I said, to be imperfect. Because let's face it, we're all human and we deserve to give ourselves a little grace now and then. You want to set and protect your boundaries. Over the years navigating my corporate career, I was pretty adept at setting boundaries because I'd experienced burnout. But I found that I'd let them slip with the no one to answer to, having no one to answer to in my entrepreneurial career. The ability to set my own hours didn't stop me working harder. In fact, not having a team supporting me meant the contrary. And in my early days, I was actually berating myself for not achieving unattainable goals for a solopreneur. This exhausting pursuit and the not so subtle reminder from my husband that I was actually working harder than before meant that setting boundaries has also become key in my journey to overcome the need to perform. Learning to say no to things that don't align with my values or priorities. Prioritizing self-care and making time for things that bring me joy. It's all about taking back control of my life and refusing to be overwhelmed by the expectations of others. And embracing authenticity. And I can't say too much or enough about this, because today I can proudly say that I'm living life on my own terms. I no longer feel the need to perform for anyone else's approval. I show up as my authentic self, unapologetically and without reservation. And you know what? It feels pretty damn good. So here's my advice to you. Look inward and question yourself. Look at, what are you trying to prove? Who are you trying to prove it to? What would happen if you focused on quality over quantity? What would it be like to set more realistic expectations for yourself? And how can you practice self-compassion and set boundaries? Your answers may surprise you. But I just want you to embrace who you are, imperfections and all. Trust in your own journey and know that you are enough just as you are. The world doesn't need to perform. It's too much. It doesn't need all that from you. It just needs you to be authentically, unapologetically, and fabulously you. And if you need someone in your corner to help you embrace your fabulous self, remember, you know where I am. You can contact me on all the socials. I am Janice Sutherland, or email me at info@janicesutherland.com. Here's to embracing authenticity and living life on our own terms, because you've got this. And remember, if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time. Thanks for listening. If you got something from this week's episode, please let me know. Better yet, share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone you know who can benefit from this message. Don't forget to subscribe or write a review and connect with me at my website, janicesutherland.com, where you can also subscribe to the This Woman Can newsletter or connect with me on LinkedIn. Remember, you have the wisdom, resilience, authenticity, and power to create a life on your terms. And if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time.